Hey guys, JB here from Alpha Wolf Consulting. All right, so coming to you today just with a bit of morning wisdom, bit of morning thought, and it's around basically behavioral patterns and negative behavioral manifestations. What are they and what causes them? So a key thing to understand, all right, is our behavioral patterns are a reflection of our internal emotional states. So when we repress things and when we don't deal with things, generally what will happen is we will then trigger, okay, because of our avoidance or because of our inability to, one, identify and face those things, but our inability to, confront those things. So a lot of negative behavioral manifestations are a result of failure of confrontation, failure to speak when you need to speak. It's when you hold your tongue when you know you shouldn't. It's when, you fail to stand up for yourself when you know you need to. It's all these different things where you put yourself into a negative situation or a situation that you believe is negative for yourself, and you don't stand up and deal with it and confront it, where you try and avoid it. Okay, so there's many different variations of this. It can happen everywhere from, in your day-to-day life, in the streets, where you're walking down the street and someone jumps you, or someone stands over you or intimidates you. It can happen in relationships where you're not honest with yourself or you're not honest with your partner. And what happens is you lie and you say you want to be in a situation that you truly don't want to, because you don't want to deal with that emotional confrontation, those feelings or whatever it may be. And what will happen is, because of that inability to deal with the situation, what we naturally do is try to forget about it and repress it and bottle it up, all right? And what will happen with that is then it will show in passive-aggressive behavior, then it will show in, different manifestations of behavioral patterns in terms of, if we're failing to avoid having hard conversations in a relationship. Maybe we don't want to be in that relationship, but we don't want to have that hard conversation because we know they're going to get upset and they're going to cry, all right? The negative behavioral patterns you can see that will result in it will be bickering, fighting, snarkiness, things like that. It'll be putting the other one down and just different things like that. But it'll also be, infidelity and all of that. So we can see that these negative manifestations are actually caused by not dealing with situations that we need to deal with. So understanding this just really allows us to, one, be able to deal better in our life, but we have to be willing to deal with things at the root cause, all right? So, what is happening? So I'll give you an example in my life, in terms of, negative behavioral patterns used to be, drinking to excess, all right? And things like that, and high risk behavior of, taking actions or behavior where, maybe I would drink 5 liters of alcohol in one night, not straight liquor, but, what we call over here goon wine, in one night. Now that is high level alcohol poisoning. I've had alcohol poisoning maybe over 10 times, probably more. But the thing is that behavioral pattern or that manifestation was rooted in a subconscious belief, all right? But the problem is I couldn't see the subconscious belief because I wasn't dealing with it. I wasn't aware of it. So that's one of the key things to understand okay, is these avoidance and repression and, you know, not confronting things, okay, they have this way of camouflaging themselves, okay, in virtuous action, in different fake virtuous ideals. So you got to understand, when we have those ideals that, you know, I don't deserve this, I need this, you know, like for example, one of mine was I didn't deserve happiness until I had brought happiness to other people. So unless the people around me were happy, I wasn't allowed to be happy. Do you get it? Like, and that's a stupid thing, because it's stupid to live for anyone else in this lifetime. Okay, and it's not that you shouldn't care about other people, but you should care about you more than anyone else. Okay, because when we care about other people over ourselves, what we tell ourselves, okay, subconsciously, is you are not allowed to be happy unless basically other people are happy, unless you get that validation externally. So that's one of the key things about self-validation. But also, like, I was unable to see these issues, and you know, a key thing to being able to see these issues was when I started using certain practices to be able to dive into my subconscious thought, to be able to look at different things. And when I started to understand more about language, when I started to understand more about, you know, belief structures and how beliefs are created, culture, all of that. All right. And culture isn't, you know, I'm an Australian. No, that's bullshit. That's all just ideology. Your culture is what you identify with. Okay. So your culture is not something you're given. That's the biggest stupidity in the world. This idea that we all have these set cultures of, I come from European heritage, therefore I am European. It's all up here. It's all just make-believe. Okay, it's not real. You know, this idea of lineage and heritage and all of this and that, it's all just BS. What your culture is what you self-identify with. The actions, the behaviors, the beliefs that you believe someone like you should believe. So it's interchangeable. You can pick up any culture you want. You can pick up anything that you want. It's not that you're born into a specific culture. That sort of stuff is just culturalistic. You know what I mean? So if there was racist, there's culturalist. You know what I mean? People that believe that their cultures are set by their skin color or their beliefs or whatever it may be. It's all just up in your head and make believe. So the thing you got to understand is that if we're not able to look back and have practices to be able to look into who we are and how we build our mental framework of what is reality to us, okay, and if we're unable to look at how are we dealing in situations, are we dealing authentically to how we want to be, and are we validating ourselves above other people? All right, because if we're not, what will generally happen is we create these narratives in our subconscious, and these aren't narratives that we consciously feel or see. These are subconscious. So these are just, I just feel a certain way. So if my narrative is racism is real, okay, I will feel discriminated against. Do you get it? I won't think I'm being discriminated against. I'll just always feel discriminated against, because subconscious is emotion and feeling. Conscious is thought and logic and reasoning. All right. So understanding your mind at a higher level allows you to choose who you want to be in this life, but it also allows you to understand how to curate your ideal self, who you want to be. All right. And a big thing to understand, okay, is that self-validation is the foundation and the core for everything. No other practice works without first having self-validation. Without having that core down and really locked in, every other personal development practice doesn't mean anything, because you're not really doing anything. All right, you have a great day.